the way that we use our human resources, if we can't go out and buy those other acres right now, are they the people that need to be attracting that 100,000 new foot soldiers? How do we communicate? We need to encourage the university system. Erskine Bowles is not very supportive at the moment of public television. And UNC-TV is on the decline right now financially. And TV, with of course the new social media, are really the ways to communicate. A lot of our subjects are so visual. And UNC-TV could do a great deal more with us if actually they had a little bit more in the way of resources. And right now the university is cutting them back quite heavily. So as a department, we might want to talk to the university system about why that is and whether there are ways in which we can really reinforce public television in the state. We've got 170 plus environmental education centres. Talking to Lisa earlier, one of the questions there is, do a lot of them are mom and pop operations, but do all those environmental centres really know what we're doing in the department, the reasons for it and why? That's probably something we can tie into that 100,000 foot soldier idea. And then something finally which many others have already said is look at social media. And I know that that's already going on in the department, but don't look at it just from the point of view of public information. There's a tendency to say, how can we use it just to sort of tell people facts and figures? That's not how people are going to learn. So we really need to look at how we could use social media in a very imaginative way. We've had some examples already. To get over our messages in ways that are more creative and more understandable, particularly to that younger generation. Any questions?
Interesting. I think almost every group is mentioning communication, internal and external. Interesting. Look at that new work. Let's hear from the STAR group.
I'm Doug Lewis from BPA in the Archdale building, and I'm here to help you. That has relevance. The STARS group, raise your hands. Okay. We're tasked with looking at organizational effectiveness supporting DENR's mission. We did some brainstorming, like lots of other people did, came up with what we call reactions, recommendations, reflections. Some of these are much broader than our own goal that we were looking at. Some of it applies to the whole strategic vision. We thought about establishing benchmarks. We need to know where we are before we can chart where we want to go and measure it. Often there is no baseline for us. And some ways to do that are to use some surveys, focus groups to establish that benchmark. Another issue we saw, even though by its nature the strategic plan establishes priorities, we feel there are too many. If you look at the supporting actions, there are almost 60 in there. So we're recommending that a second look be taken to establish some further priorities within that. One way to do that for divisions is to have an operational plan where they're listing their priorities, and then it tells also how it feeds back into the accomplishment of that strategic plan. Another issue, interpretation can vary a great deal. We thought it was important to have people who are working on the various components and aspects of this have a feedback loop. They need to understand what the intent is and then have that loop either with the author and or the senior staff guiding this activity. So those were some general thoughts that we had. Measurement. This isn't one of the elements, but we kept coming back to it. Keep measurement simple. Keep it consistent with other activities that are going to be going on. We had a meeting a week ago with OSBM. How many have heard of the program inventory? Raise your hand. Okay, many of you have. I would hope most of the hands in the room would go up. That was a function that was undertaken in the summer for all divisions to look at their activities and develop and describe their programs. OSBM has come back to us after consulting with the governor's office, and they point to our department as really being an agency that goes from A to Z. It's trite but true. We do more different kinds of things than any other department in state government. So they're looking for some thematic ways to organize that. Decision makers within the department, probably the secretary, can understand all of those programs. You get to the General Assembly, you get to the governor's office. Well, some way we need to develop some themes to pull that together. So on a short time frame, you were given an opportunity to see if your programs would fit in this overall framework. In many cases it works, sometimes it may not. OSBM was clear, though, that this is only another step in the process. We will be probably, and they haven't even built the system yet. How many remember the acronym PPB? Okay. There are, I don't know what this final program schema will look like when it's done, but it will probably have some of those elements. It's likely we will be developing at least one objective for your program. It's likely you'll have a measure or two. So we come back to measurement to the extent possible, keep these kinds of things consistent there. Implementation. Ideas that our group had was that these should be part of the work plan of division directors and the staff involved in working on these. I don't view the strategic plan as the secretary's plan or the plan of the senior staff. To make it work, it's got to be our plan. And we need to find ways to make that implementation broad across the department. Back to division plans. That's where a lot of the detail will show up, and there needs to be a mechanism for regular follow-up with those. So that helps us determine, are we on the right track, and are we helping accomplish whatever specific goal we were working on. Milestones is another way to do that. Finally, we got to communication. We looked, our time was running out, as is mine. We talked about forums and discussion boards, a regular element of the newsletter, and then departmental and division meetings. Whenever you have a meeting, let's make the strategic plan and the elements that you're working on a regular part of that. Any questions?
Results-based budgeting, we still have that effort, correct? And how does that envision the course in the future?
The reality is, I don't know. It exists, Linda, on computers. It was used some by the staff and the General Assembly. I view